50 South 25th Avenue at 7:08 p.m. We'll take a roll call. Trustee Judy Abraham, Chairman of the Finance Committee.
Trustee John Tierney.
Timothy Hicks, Finance Director.
Fire Chief Tracy Kenny.
Trustee Andrea Senior.
Paul Kurtzner, Administrative Supervisor, Broadview Police Department.
Tom Hood, Budget Officer.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to stand and take the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please take a moment of silence? Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for attending, as well as our viewing, our people that are viewing at home, so we appreciate that. First thing up, on the agenda it says public comment, but what we'll do, we'll just ask as we go through each section if there's any questions from our audience here, so it'll make it a little bit easier. So the first item on the agenda is the final Village Hall renovations and 911 Center project update. Mr. Kurtzner?
Yes, we had the ribbon cutting ceremony officially opening up the municipal building as well as the police department and the 911 Center this past Saturday. I believe it was well attended. We had representatives from the Village of Broadview as well as the Village of Maywood. I put a quick guesstimate at approximately 100 plus people. The weather held out, even though it was expected to rain, and we also conducted a mini tour of the administrative offices. The bills are pretty much all accounted for. There's still some that are trickling in. The overall pricing that I have, according to my figures, amounted to $9.9 million. However, that does not include the 50% of the Maywood cost of the 911 center. There was a maximum based on the intergovernmental agreement of being reimbursement of $1.5 million. However, based on costs, we're looking at a split per agency of 1.4. So that actually brings out the Broadview's responsibility from 9.9, we minus the 1.5, so that turns out to be $8.4 million for the entire project as of this moment in time. There are the final costs that are going to be coming in based on the down payments, the 50% cost, the 30% costs on completion. However, those have all been built into my numbers already. Some of the other aspects that are still outstanding are the fine tunings. The municipal sign that's going to be in the parkway, all the bills have not come up in for that. However, they have been included in my total. And some of the add-ons or additional needs that we've seen in other departments as a result of the move-in. Number one is like file cabinets and so forth. We also have an existing punch list that is still going through, and as the crews come back, they're hitting those punch lists. Just because we opened up our doors this past Saturday does not mean that the work is done. It's just pretty much slowed down, and as things come to our attention, we go ahead and ask them to add it, repair things, and so forth. As everyone who is sitting up on this dais realize, or desk, that some of the outlets aren't opening up quickly or they're difficult to open. We'll work on those. We have some door issues that are, and those pretty much aren't major items. They're tweaks that need to be conducted. We're still also looking at the cameras throughout the building, both on the village side and the police department side, that still have to be added to the program. And one of the things that's been brought to my attention that I kind of realized was the ADA capabilities, the doors up in the front lot. So we'll work on that to see exactly what the story is with that. But overall, as I mentioned on Saturday, we completed this project in under a year, so within our timeline as well as under the budget. I think we did a good product for what we set out to do. Now, the next phase of the operations is the Maywood integration and so forth, and moving forward with that. So if anyone has any questions?
Trustee Tierney, any questions?
Thanks,
Trustee
Paul, for
Sue?
good job.
Any residents have a question?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Outstanding work. I really, when I look at the quality of work and the committee, whoever was involved in it, it was wonderful, always open and letting us know what's going on and available, and I appreciate you, and don't you dare retire.
You have me for at least 2 more years.
Thank you, Mrs. Redmond, for that compliment, and I'm sure Mr. Kurtzner and the police department truly appreciate that support. And, obviously there was a lot of expectations in what we wanted and how we wanted to do it. So, I know on our point coming in and being at the ribbon cutting ceremony, it was a great day, for us to be proud of and this community to be proud of. So, obviously you guys did an excellent job. Paul, thanks for head manning, and I could imagine, trying to keep everything organized and structured and timelined, so we appreciate that.
I was
Really
darker
appreciate
once upon a time.
Well, it's nice, for future generations to see, the evolution. And again, that's just showing our community changing and moving forward. So thank you again for that. Next on the agenda is discuss our year-to-date financials for April of 2019. Is that you, Mr. Hicks?
Yeah, but I would yield my time to the chief so she can talk about her important ID.
You ready for it?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, here
Sure.
we'll do this. I'll introduce you. Chief Kinney's here to explain the My ID project that they're working on and program that's going to be implemented throughout the village. Chief Kinney?
Thank you. So some of you have heard this already, and I'm going to keep saying it every opportunity I get. We started a new program with the police department called My ID. I'm actually wearing it today, and I can show you before I leave. The one that I have just attaches to your wristband of your watch, which is a great one, but we are going to be doing the stickers within the village. You'll get 4 stickers, and you can put them anywhere. I always say Chief Tierney, Trustee Tierney, former Chief, Trustee Tierney, and I discussed the fact that we used to do something called the Vial of Life, which we would put something on the refrigerator and then a vial in the refrigerator that we could open up the fridge and take it out, and it had all the information that we would need for somebody. This is always on you all the time. It could be on the back of your phone. It could be in your wallet, just on a card inside your wallet. It could be a sticker in your vehicle. You could really put it anywhere. And we have a scanner that we just, on the ambulance and on the engine, that we would just scan it and it would bring up all your information, all your pertinent medical information. You decide what you want to put in there. You decide what's important. But I know that people with diabetes, people with seizures, it's important that they put that information in there, and then they can give you some guidance on what works for them in that app. So we know the medications that they need and things like that. So it's an excellent program, and I do bring it up at the finance meeting because it's village funded in the beginning. I do look for grants to continue things, just like the smoke detector program. That was village funded in the beginning, but we did find a grant program and continued it. So that's the wonderful thing, and that's still going on as well. These things won't stop as long as we can find the funding for them. But the mayor was great in seeing the great possibilities with this and letting us kick it off. And now, again, I'll try to find some more funding. But we will be at every village event with a computer to start people off and get them going. If there is somebody in town that doesn't have a computer or they have a difficult time with computers, they're more than welcome to make an appointment at the village and come on over, and we'll set the whole thing up for them. So again, it's not just for the elderly, it's for young children. It helps the PD if a child's missing and say they have the sticker on their helmet or on their bike or on a wristband, something like that. As well as somebody who has Alzheimer's or anybody that's, really any difficulties, it really helps. So if you have any questions, feel free to call the fire department, 343-6124, and dial 0, and you can inquire about it and make an appointment. We ask that you wait till after the 15th because it does kick off the day of Shred Day. That's it.
Trustee Tierney, any questions?
No, this is like comparing computers for the old DOS system to what we have today. I mean, with this Vial of Life, it worked out well, but the part of the problem was people wouldn't update it, and again, it was in their refrigerator. It was just a safe place that we knew where to look for it
Yeah.
if we saw it. It was, everybody put
It
it
was
in
a
one
good
place.
idea.
and-
Yeah,
It's a good
always in the
idea.
refrigerator because everybody's got a refrigerator.
got a
And you go to that, if someone says it's on my nightstand, you're fishing through everything, so.
So this is gonna work out well, you'll have it with you, you can put it on your phone, you can put it in your wallet, whatever. I think it's a great plan, program, and I'm looking forward to get it going.
Trustees senior? I don't have any, no questions. Chief, can you just, I have some questions, with the smoke detector. How has, that been going along now?
You know, it's kind of, it has slowed down. I mean, we hit a peak point in which everybody in town, and I just did it myself, you know, it's important to get people to come in. You know, switching your smoke detectors out every 5 to 10 years, it really is based on what the manufacturer says. Everybody should go and look at their smoke detector, pop it off, take a look at the date on it. Even if it's still working, if it's outdated, you're not guaranteed that that's gonna work in a fire. Even if you're just pressing that test button, you really don't know. So continuing to update them, and we have plenty of smoke detectors left for this program. So it's really kind of tapered off. And I don't think it's because Inspector Monk's got his promotion. He's now a lieutenant. He still is vigilant about it, still putting things out there the same way he was before. He says it's just tapered down. He probably gets about 2 calls a week versus for a while he was getting about 10 calls a week.
I think maybe next month we'll have him, come.
Talk again.
Yeah, come and talk and just, you know, elaborate on the importance of it. And I know it is the summer months, and a lot of times, you know, maybe families don't think there's gonna be a fire, you know, because everybody's outside, but still, you have air conditions running, and you never know, situations happen, you know, and I just wanna make sure that he's continually doing the program, and, you know, that we have accessibility to it, because, you know, to get a grant that does supplement, you know, your budget, and it helps. I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that, you know, we've got a gift. Why aren't we need to share it more
Sure,
throughout the community.
it reduces deaths by fire, you know, it's 100%, it wakes people up and gets them out the door, you know?
Exactly.
I did want to mention though, the My ID program, which was very important. It was shared with me by somebody who works for Hillside Fire Department. So they're looking into it too. So that's where I got the information from. It wasn't just my own idea. In the fire service, we call it sharing information. You know, everybody has, you know, why not pass it around so we're all on the same page, so.
Well, I'm glad you came tonight, because obviously we wanted to catch up with you and your new program that you're rolling out with the My ID, as well as, like I said, with the smoke detectors, and that's why I wanted to kind of gauge as to how that's been going, because I know when we had him up here, it was like a few months ago, and I'm sure he was getting a lot of calls and booking, and I know things have changed. I want to congratulate him and, you know, yourself. You know, obviously you got a nice promotion, and that's good in your department as you keep evolving and stuff like this. So I want to thank you for your service as well.
Thank you.
Okay. You ready now, Mr.
Yeah.
Hicks, for your year-to-date financials?
Yes, so we'll go over April again, and we'll keep going over April until we have a finalized audit, or until we think that we've gotten to the point where we've gotten all the revenue and all of the expenses accounted for in terms of the accruals. We mainly report on a cash basis until year end. And then we see where we would have to book accruals to account for it. So between this is an update to the report that I gave at the last board meeting, but so for the month of April, we had $828,000 in revenue versus expenses of $893,000. Year to date, that brings revenue to $15 million versus year-to-date expenses of about $14.5 million. For versus budget, we're off revenue about $555,000, but largely due to the last tax collection for the fiscal year. We still have about 60 days after the fiscal year ends to see the collection for property taxes. So once we have all property taxes and all other taxes and everything collected, I believe this year would be flat to budget or a little over, that we exceed budget. Expenses, we are favorable to budget by 400,000, but a lot of that would, similar to revenue, will pay out fiscal year 19 expenses through July, through maybe even August, but the bulk of those should come this month and next month, and then we'll accrue for, we'll start the audit, which is the next item on the agenda. We've already had interim testing for that, but we'll start booking the accruals for the expenses that we anticipate paying this month and in July, and then we anticipate that the expenses should be right at or maybe just exceeding budget a little bit, depending on what's already accounted for. But I believe a lot of the expenses are related to, in terms of being over, is pension related. So we have to see where the actual pension expense was for the year versus what we've already sent in. So that's typically, when you look at last year's audit for fiscal 18, that was the significant driver. But other than that, so I'll go into the OPEB audit and the financial audit. So those took much longer last year than we would have liked, because one, we had to do the OPEB audit, which is other post-employment benefits, so that's retiree health care. And there was a new accounting standard that we took early adoption for last year, and so a part of that, and then having to have an OPEB audit, which has to be done like every 3 to 5 years, is really one of the key drivers why the audit kind of took longer than expected. And so this year as well, we need to have that same OPEB audit, and so that's underway. We started with producing the documents that they require, and this one should go a lot smoother because we know exactly what they're looking for. We can gather that information a lot quicker, and then that leads us to the end of the month. We'll start final field work for the financial audit, and so we anticipate that going being completed in a much shorter time frame than last year. What we started to do is, in the previous fiscal year audits, we delegated a lot of the work to the auditors, but for the last year and for this year, we've taken more on village-wide to reduce our costs. And so last year was a huge learning curve for Tom and myself and for the staff. And then this year we feel like we know exactly what the auditor is looking for. We know how to gather the information, and so we have our learning curve isn't as steep as it was in prior years. So with that, take any questions?
Trustee Tierney?
I have
Trustee Senior?
I have none.
Okay, well, that's what I was gonna ask you about for the OPEB, is that gonna be also with Baker and Tilly?
No.
Is that a different firm then? that
Yeah, I
comes in
can't think
for
of the
you?
name of the firm, but it's Lauterbach?
a lot about.
Yeah, so they do either the fire or the pension audit for us.
Okay, so it's gonna be
So it'll be the
Lauterbach.
same. So when we engaged them last year, we engaged them for a 2-year engagement.
Okay. Okay, is that something that has to be done on a yearly basis? Has it been done? Do we have
No,
an issue?
it's, well, one of the reasons why we did it was that there was a new accounting standard that we had to implement and make sure that was a part of the process. And so we engaged them to ensure that that's what we were doing properly. And then because we took early adoption for it, we brought them in as well. But it's every 3 to 5 years you need to have this audit done.
Okay, for employee benefits. Okay. Is that what it is? Covers that?
Retiree.
Retiree.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
So other post-employment benefits, which typically is just healthcare benefits for retirees.
Okay, so that's our retiree benefits. Okay. And then we'll get a report, just like we do with our other financials, the trustees will be,
Yeah, they produce a report.
Okay.
I'm not sure we distribute it to the trustees in terms of, it's included, the auditors look at it.
Okay.
So, we don't want to overwhelm you guys with information that, because it has no, it's not an impact on
I was just gonna say,
our,
what's their
on the
impact?
village financials. It's more so for the pension funds,
okay.
which we include in our
Regular.
village-wide financials. So, it's just more details of what you see in the financials.
Okay, okay. I do want to commend you on having Baker and Tilly come at that last meeting where you gave the presentation. I would have hoped that a little bit more, a few more trustees would have came in time, just to see how we explain it, if they had any additional questions. But again, it is what it is, but, the reports that we were given from them were very, informative. So hopefully they took advantage of reading through all that to see where our village stands. So definitely appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank
If
you.
we want one of those reports, can we get one from you?
The
You wouldn't have a
OPEB?
problem giving it to us, right?
No.
Yeah, I'd just like to see where it is.
Yeah, I know it was given to the mayor, but we can definitely get that out to you guys.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Is there any questions from the audience? Yes.
I have two, and that would be first, ask Chief Kenny and comment whether.
Hey, Ms. Robin, you might have to talk into the mic, because we're streaming live, so I'm assuming. If someone's here and talking, they might not hear it all the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is for Chief Kenny, in regard to the My ID and the smoke detectors and all the other wonderful programs that you brought to the village for us. Wondering, at the pantry, at the Broadview Food Pantry, we invite Oak Street Health to come in sometimes, to give information to the clients. Maybe, is that maybe a venue? Maybe, you might be able to sign up some people.
Absolutely.
During that time, because we have chairs where they're waiting to get registered, and then we set up a coffee table. And so it's just a matter of talking to either Peggy Kuchman, who's the president,
Sure.
or Trustee Brown Moreno.
Sure.
We're there 2 days a week, and you could get maybe 100 more people. So,
Absolutely.
something to think about,
That's a great idea.
okay? Oh, and thank you for your work, okay?
Thank you.
Question for Director Hicks. Thank you for your report. I appreciate the thoroughness of it. I have a question, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I wanted to ask you because I was wondering, in terms of wanting to do projects, and I'm thinking, heard about wanting to build the water fund up so that we can get a loan or whatever the case may be. I'm wondering, with the water rates going up, we were talking about, I heard, the mayor said maybe increasing the water rates from Chicago is gonna go up in June. Is that going to affect us? Do you know anything about that, or should I wait until the regular board meeting as to when that might happen? Because wouldn't that be part of the budget, what you anticipate?
I don't want to speak for.
Well, if I can wait
but-
until the next
yeah,
meeting, if
yeah,
you think.
But there was not a budget increase for water rates, and there was not a rate increase included in the budget for
Right.
fiscal '20,
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
So that answers that question. In terms of when or if a water rate increase would happen, that would be the mayor's decision. What we talked about is, in order for us to address in the most strategic and the best financially sound way, in the most fiscally responsible way, to address the aging infrastructure of for the water system, it was to go about it with this IEPA loan, which is a low interest rate loan, in the ways that because it's such a low interest rate and such a great program, because it's a revolving loan. So you basically can borrow X amount, pay that down, and go back and borrow more. It's such a great program. They make sure that you have to you have to substantiate how you're going to make those payments back to IEPA. And so one of the ways that you do that is by showing that you have, that you're gonna have significant cash flow from the very thing that you're trying to fix. You know, so for us, it's the water that would pay for that. And so the talk has always been, we have we have not captured the significant increases for the last 10, 12 years that have been consistently passed on from the city of Chicago to the Broadview Westchester Water Agency that the village has been subsidizing for all of those years. And so one of the ways to solidify our opportunity to secure this loan would be to raise rates to be able to show that we have the cash flow on hand from this stream of income that is predictable, that is in excess of what we're currently getting, so that we stay status quo, and then the excess would be go toward that IEPA loan. And so that's been the plan that we've kind of been tossing around, and what we've been executing actually in terms of doing the due diligence. And because it's literally it's a very extensive process. And so as part of the process, we've been making sure that we're doing our homework and doing our due diligence to make sure that, similar to the housing, the senior housing, doing all the things, all the legwork, so that we know when we submit an application, the chances of it being approved are very high. So that's what we've been doing.
I appreciate that, and let me just say this, because and you weren't on staff then, but I think it was either 2012 or 2013, we did have an increase in water rates from Chicago. Maybe it wasn't the actual amount that they increased, I'm not sure exactly, but it was a rate increase. And it was a lot of bedlam in this community because the numbers didn't match what was being told, and it was confusion. And so in your department head meetings, as you all talk about this, I would like to encourage whatever we do, whichever you all decide, to make sure that you have lots of meetings with the public, have robocalls to explain, and your explanation in terms of, wanting to have a cash flow so we can fix the sewers. I mean, I'm all for it. You have to do it. Nothing lasts forever. But so the residents know from day one, just like the great job Mr. Kirshner did explaining about all of this 911, it would be really helpful. So then we won't have a panic like we did back in that time, during that time. And I know you weren't here, but we did.
Yeah, yep. So one of the things that we want to show is the history, which we have, and you'll see that every year, like, the city of Chicago has gone up every year, not just 1 year, but every year, and substantially, 25, 30% that we have never captured in terms of what we passed on to the residents. And so that's how you deplete your fund balance in that fund, because the cost to serve the residents continually goes up every year. And then we've just been subsidizing, period, point blank. We've been subsidizing as a village those cost increases. And so it comes to a head to where now, in order to pay for the infrastructure, the water mains, because what we're doing now is that we're just fixing the symptoms and not addressing the root causes. So when you don't address the root cause, then we're gonna have water main breaks all the time. But we know what the root cause is. Now we're trying to put in a strategic plan to address them. The water main the water meter replacements was a part of that strategy as well.
Okay.
So that we can get more accurate readings, so we understand where we're losing water, right? You know, we do the water loss study every year. We know that it's double digits, but where is that coming from? And so we're making all of those steps, and I think we'll continue with the transparency and accountability that the administration has been standing on, right? Because we have the information, and we definitely will present that in a manner to educate the residents.
Okay.
And I think we give, I think no different from the accountability and transparency that the police department and Paul has displayed. We'll continue that with everything that we do, right? Because when we think about, how much folks was up in arms about this project, right? When we first started it, and when we came to the residents about, a $10-11 million bond deal to do this, everybody had great concern, but it was the best financial decision to do it in that manner than to piecemeal it, and because of all the things that were aging with this building. And it's the same concept with the water mains, right? We have a significantly aged water main and water system that is, really causing a lot of problems, and is causing issues, and it's making other decisions that we have to make more difficult too, because there's certain alleys that we can't do because we don't want to tear up those alleys, or we don't want to pave those alleys and then have to go back and tear them right back up, right? So, we're taking all of those things into consideration to be strategic in what we're doing. So residents may want, not understand it holistically, but we're thinking about it, with the bigger picture in mind, and then thinking about, again, there's, we have to be able to substantiate to IAPA how are we going to be able to pay back what we're going to borrow, and be able to put together the best application, the strongest application, so that we only have to do it once, right?
No, and let me say this, I do understand what you're saying, but here's what I want you to say as a resident. What would make, I understand I agree everything what you say in terms of, making sure we efficiently use of funds, not wasting with repairs and, all that. I think that's great. But where I think a lot of the confusion happened back when we had that, whatever the rates are gonna be, here's the rate per 1,000 gallons, here's the increase, here's where we've been, showing it so it's spelled out that if I don't know anything, I can follow line by line.
Yeah, we're not those.
Well, I'm just saying, I just was wanting as a resident, trying to be helpful as, to get it out.
So we want to present it in a manner where there's not a ton of questions.
Okay.
So, that's why we don't talk about it in that manner, to be able to, when the time comes and when the decision is made, because the mayor asked all of that of us, because she's a resident, right? So she, and she gets, and all the trustees as well. So they're gonna get a million questions, and we have to make sure that it's in a manner to which they can explain it as well. Because, I'm not gonna be walking around with Trustee Tierney or Abraham, when they get all the questions, and so we have to make sure that they have it understood in that manner that they can relay that message. So that's the same message, so that when you talk to myself and Director Hood, you're getting the same conversation and the same understanding as if when you talk to the trustees, or, if you're talking to the mayor. So that's required of us.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, no
If I
problem,
can
Ms.
add on to
Redmond.
that, Can I add on to that?
Sure, you can, Trustee
Yeah.
Tierney.
And on that, Ms. Redmond, we're committed to transparency as well. And as residents, we want everybody else to know what's going on. You might not like what's going on as far as the numbers or what we can do there, But we will at least present you the information so you can make your decisions. I mean, just by the number of meetings we've had, this finance meeting, fire and police committee, streets meetings, we've had those out there just in the last couple of years. And that's gonna continue, it's not gonna slow down. So we will keep that in mind and we'll take care of that.
Director Hood, from the
Yeah,
Budget Office?
sure, yeah, and I would just want to bring this up, and a couple of you will remember this because you were at the 2012 water meeting at the Beverly Center. But I don't know if you remember what the rates were on those bonds back then. When we were looking at doing these projects back in 2012, they were looking at charging the village an 8% rate, not because the rates were high, but because our credit rating was low. And since then, we have done a adequate job of getting that credit rating up, so that when we did the 911 project, correct me if I'm wrong, 3.83 is the rate we got on that bond?
I don't
It's
know if
either
it was
8.3 or 3.8, I don't
Yeah,
remember. I'll go with the higher number. So we're seeing the savings of being responsible over the last 5 to 7 years, getting our financial house in order, and we're getting those higher ratings, which is getting us lower rates. This particular loan is even lower than the rates we got on this last bond. And it's a revolving credit line. Kind of think of it like a big credit card. You take out, you do the projects, you pay it back, you can take it out, and you can just keep doing it over and over and over and spread your projects out over time. So this is a cost-effective way of getting this stuff done. And I think that's why I'm personally excited about pursuing it this way instead of like doing a big water bond issue. Yeah, we can save some money by doing it in this method.
I think overall, I think what has happened in the last 2 years under Mayor Thompson's, I guess you want to call it her regime, or however you want to say it, and what she's, pardon me?
I said administration.
Administration, whatever you want to say. Regime. But you know what, she isn't, no, I know what you guys are saying. To me, it's she came in and she wanted to have transparency, and that's what we're putting out here, and you can see it in the community. The transparency, the availability of getting information is a lot easier. So those difficulties that were once before are no longer, okay? So with that being said, but she's also reestablished the stability of the village overall with our department heads, making them accountable, having them run their department within their budget, and going out and seeking grants, going out and being, you want people to be educated in their position so they can go out and get the grants and bring it back to the village. And you can see it's working in everybody's department. And just again, it's her holding us to stricter standards. So your department heads are being held to stricter standards. The transparency, I think, is a big factor, because all of us that live here, we're the taxpayers too. I mean, just because I might have a title or one of our department heads has a title, they're living here. So, we want to know how our dollars are being spent. I mean, that's why we always say you can come and talk to us at any time. I mean, we're open, and the mayor's definitely put that out there to the public. I think the biggest thing, and you hear us say it all the time, and it's best practices. How do we run a business? How are we holding department heads accountable? How are we holding the workers accountable? So it's that trickle-down theory. If you're doing it to one, everybody's doing it. So I just think the success of this village and where the village is standing now, and as you can see when Director Hood had said, what has changed when we go to get rates, where is the village standing? It's easier. It's people are saying, so when we can go and get a loan or something, they're looking at Broadview saying, okay, these guys got everything in order. They can produce the documents. Here it is, 1, 2, 3. So we're following the steps to success, and we just got to keep it going. So, and like Director Hicks said, the transparency, the meetings, you can see there's more meetings this last year since I've been the finance chair. We've made it a monthly meeting. We've streamed it live. I understand, as a resident, a lot of people can't come to the meeting, so it's important that they are able to view it. Why not? Why not? We're going to answer any question. So, again, we appreciate the resident support. Just being out in the community, as Director Hicks says, he can't walk around with this all the time. I shop in my community every day. There's not a day that doesn't go by that you'll find me doing something in one of my in one of the stores in the community, because I'm supporting our local businesses. Did anybody else want to add anything before I go? All right, I do have some announcements to make, and I know you heard it at the last board meeting, but I just want to make sure that we get this out there again for the second time. As Mayor Thompson said on Monday night at our board meeting, the Community Shred Day is Saturday, June 15th, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that will be here in our village parking lot. Also on that day, is the airplane one? Right?
No, we won't be on that day. Couldn't get someone on that day.
Oh, there's a different day now?
Oh, it's the same, the airplane days is, yes,
Okay.
yes.
All
But
right,
we
so-
won't be there with the computers
Okay.
that day.
Just want to confirm. The Boys Build and Fly Mini Camp will also be on Saturday, June 15, 2019, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Broadview Village Hall. It's Build and Fly model airplanes for boys. Join Mayor Katrina Thompson for this event. And there was an RSVP or an email to her secretary, Miss Lily, so please, you're going to have to contact the village office for that. She also announced that on Saturday, June 22nd, from 8:30 to 1 p.m. at the Village Hall here, we're going to have our community yard sale. So please, again, there is a form, because this is our second annual community garage sale. There's an application for resident table and non-resident table. So those forms can be picked up here at the village. Also on June 28th, from 9 to 3 p.m. at the Broadview Fire Department, and that's for the girls from ages 10 to 15. That is the Me Too.
Camp Weekend too.
Oh, sorry, Camp Weekend 2. It's the day of empowerment. So again, you have to RSVP the Broadview Fire Department, so that's on that. Also, I do want to comment, as again, you heard me earlier say that I do go shopping and support my local businesses. I do want the residents to realize our small town of, 2-point-some square miles and less than 8,000 in population, we are very fortunate, very blessed to have the industry as well as the business owners, small business owners, large business owners in this community. So our residents, we do ask that you please support, shop within town, because guess what? These companies are investing in us and investing in our community. And again, through what we've done with our police and fire departments, a lot of companies look for the best situation that they can have their business to be productive. And in turn, as we support these various businesses, they're also supporting our local residents. And through the hiring, and it's been going on, you can walk in any store. They usually have a sign up that says you can do it online. And some of the companies, some of the stores lately, and now with the kids getting out from, high school that need jobs, there's opportunities out there within our community. Aldi is hiring. You can go online. They have an application at their exit door at the one in Broadview on 10th Avenue over there. McDonald's, Dollar Tree has a sign up. Target is also hiring. Ross, Dress for Less, Lou Malinati's, Marshalls, Walgreens, PetSmart, LA Fitness, Home Depot, Chase Bank, Jimmy John's, and Starbucks. And we are blessed to have, 2 Starbucks, 2 Walgreens, a CVS in a small, town of ours, and that's a great accomplishment. So please, you can go online and apply. So these are opportunities for our residents to work within the community. So we want to be thankful for the companies. As you know, Mr. Submarine, that's going to be located on Cermak Road, is also going to be opening up. So, we just got to be aware of when they're going to do the hiring process. And if I see it, I'll obviously make that announcement. Because again, we want to promote that. And Buddy Bear, if anybody's driven down Cermak Road, I am so blessed that we got them in. They're in a great location. They did a fine job there, just their placement and how their facility looks, and they're constantly busy. So, good things are happening for them, and we appreciate that. So, other than that, I have nothing else to say. I'd like to thank everyone for attending for our Finance Committee meeting. I also want to thank our residents at home that don't get a chance to come, but I'm glad they are viewing this. It's important, and they should be also watching and viewing our board meetings as well. So again, thank you again, and I'll call for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you again, residents. We're adjourning at 7:53. Have a good evening.
you
Thank you
for
for
coming out.
coming.
More rap?